Hello and welcome to Universal Love Law. I'm very excited to be presenting this information to you today, all about interceptions in astrology. And I am because, for one, there's not a lot of information about interceptions in astrology, and for the people that did explain it, there are some astrologers that did an excellent job, but I wanted to go a step further in really breaking this down in a session is like a class, okay? So for people that are trying to learn about astrology and want to be able to read their chart on their own and maybe even become readers for other people, this will be a very helpful understanding of astrology, okay? And usually the game is meant to be sold, not told. So a lot of astrologers are not going to tell people the how to understand astrology or interceptions. Okay, they'll just throw that information in the service. But sometimes some astrologers do not even use interceptions in astrology. So I'm going to break all that down for you, and then I'm also going to break down how to find interceptions in a chart. In another chart, I'll use examples. I'll give you an example of what is not an interception and what is an interception, so that you can go take a look at your chart using the placidus method and see if you have an interception. Right after the video, go look at your chart, see if you have an interception, and try to understand it. Okay, so this is some quality information I just want you to know. Now let's jump right on in. First and foremost, there are multiple major house systems. Excuse me, there are multiple house systems, but ultimately there are three major house systems that are used that astrologers use today, right? There's the placidus house system, there's the whole sign house system, and there's the equal house system, okay? So ultimately, what I'm going to do is, because we are talking about interceptions in astrology, I want a person to really grasp the concept. So I have to explain what charts do not, what house systems do not support the use of interceptions, so you can truly grasp the understanding of why interceptions are utilized in the placidus house system. Okay, so I'm going to jump in with explaining the whole sign house system and equal house system. So when I get to the placidus house system, you have a fuller concept of this house system and how interceptions are utilized in this. So first and foremost, let's jump right on in with the equal house system, okay? So the equal house system is utilized in Hindu and Indian astrology. This is where the degree of the ascendant sign is equal to all the houses after it. So the first house is the ascendant, and the degree of that ascendant sign will be equal to all the other signs in all the other houses. And I gave an example, okay? So through the entire house chart, each house is exactly 30 degrees, which is very important to know, but the degree never changes in each house. Whereas in other house systems, the degree does change. But in equal house system, the degree of the ascendant will be the degree of the sign in the second house, third house, so on and so forth. So if you take a look at the photo I have there on the screen, the ascendant is where the arrow is. That is at 15 degrees of Cancer, right? So the next house is 15 degrees of Leo. The third house is 15 degrees of Virgo. The fourth house is 15 degrees of Libra. So as you guys can sense, it's a pattern here, right? The ascendant initiates the degree. So that house is 30 degrees, but ultimately each sign of that house will be 15 degrees. If you were using an equal house system and your rising sign was in Aries, but it was 27 degrees, that means that each house would be 27 degrees. The sign in the second house would be 27 degrees. What comes after Aries, right? Taurus. The third house would be Gemini. That would be 27 degrees. The fourth house would be Cancer. That would be 27 degrees. So it's very important to know that the equal house system is a mathematical system that basically makes everything equal to the ascendant sign. The first house is 15 degrees Cancer, so each house moving forward is at 15 degrees, regardless of your time of birth, the planetary and sign movement, and stars movement out, in space, regardless of that. The planets have nothing to do with the houses, right? So last but not least, when I do cover just basically explaining the equal house system, I'm going to let you know that when you use an equal house system, it will change the planets that you may have been told that are in or occupying your houses. So the reason why equal house systems astrologers use it is because it does affect what planets are on the cusps of your house or falling into your house, okay? So that's very important to know. Now let's move along to the whole house system, okay? So this is a Hellenistic approach. It was used in medieval times and medieval astrology, and it also correlates to Indian astrology as well. Now, this is where the ascendants start exactly at 0 degrees. It does not matter what time you are born, okay? The degree of the rising sign, which is the ascendant, which is the first house, will be exactly starting at 0 degrees. Now, some astrologers like to use it this way. It's easier for them to read the chart. The degree in your first house is always 0 degree, right? And then each house is also exactly 30 degrees with the equal house, okay? Now, when we move into placidus house, you're going to see a difference. But just so you know, I'll repeat that. Each house is exactly 30 degrees and it starts exactly at 0 degrees. So that means if you can see in this example, the first house is Cancer, the ASC right there, the ascendant, and it will automatically be 0 degrees Cancer, okay? When you're using the whole house system, and it will move all the way to 30 degrees until it moves into the second house of Leo. Then that second house will start at 0 degrees. Why is this important? Because it will affect what planets are falling in your houses. When it comes to understanding interceptions in astrology, it is moving into a more in-depth perception of astrology, and it depends on what house system the astrologer is using or what house system you are using. So if you want to look up an equal house free chart calculator, you can. If you want to look up a whole house chart calculator, you can, but just know it will look different if you use the placidus house chart system. Okay, now let's move along. But ultimately, all of the house's signs automatically start with 0 degrees in the whole house chart system. Now, the interesting thing and important thing about the placidus system is it is different than the other two. Of course, it is the Ptolemaic method, Western astrology, New Age astrology, time proportional house system, okay? So ultimately, this can be it's complex information, but I want to break it down as clearly as I can for you all. So you want to know that the exact place of birth creates the degree of the ascendant. So the time of birth is very important, but also the place in which you were born, the location in which you were born is very important as well, because it affects the sky from, above and below. But I'm going to explain this why. The house system divides the motion of planetary and star movement above and below the horizon. So this is very important because now we're getting into calculating the degree of your ascendant based on where you are located on the planet Earth, according to the hemisphere that you're closest to, the North or South Pole. And another thing is it's the planets and the stars movement above is affected. So that degree will be in constant motion, meaning the degree will be in constant change, and it's calculated precisely on where the the placement of these planets and stars is at that moment of time, okay? So, the house system divides the motion of the planetary and star movement above and below the horizon into equal size parts, right? Thus making the house sizes different. So the houses become more distorted as the place of birth gets near the north and south poles. So house sizes become more uneven for people born more northern or southern latitudes. So this is very important because it does affect the degree of your rising sign and all of those things, and the degree of each house after, right? Your second house will not be the same degree of your first house. It's a different degree. I'm going to give you guys examples, but the longitude, longitude is very important because it's very mathematically calculated. The placidus house system is a challenging house system to read by because it does incorporate different sizes within each house, and it was easier to use the equal house system where the degree is the same of each sign in the first, second, third, and so on and so forth, right? And with the whole house chart system where each degree starts exactly at 0 degrees. But ultimately, when we use the placidus system, it does make it more complex because we're looking at our chart in each house based on the motion of the planetary and star movement. So the degrees movement is going up each second, literally each minute, each hour. The degree is changing that area of life in your house, in each house, right? So now let's move along because I know this is very complex, but I want to continue to break down information so that you can understand. And I do have some examples. But first and foremost, I'm going to give you guys a little nugget of information. So let's continue to finding the rising sign. This chart here on the screen, you don't want to use these little generic charts when you're trying to calculate your rising sign. So if you look up something on Google like calculate rising sign chart, these are not good charts to use. For example, if you look on the left side, there's the birth times from. Now, when you look at the very top of the chart, there's Aries sun sign all the way to Pisces sun sign. So you will look at this chart. Basically, you'll see what time you were born, and you'll move over to the sign, your sun sign, and see what is your rising sign. But these are not accurate because, okay, there's each sun sign, there's a season, right? You hear Aries season, Taurus season, Virgo season, right? That's that month, that transition over 2 month time span. So the degrees do change each, through from the beginning of that season, that sun sign season, to the end of the sun sign season. So I'm going to give you a resource that is more accurate. So I have an example here for people that have sun sign Sagittarius or people that have sun sign Scorpio and so on and so forth. For people that have whatever your sun sign is, you can find this resource on serendipityastrolevers.com. And you can see there is the website on this photo there. Now, I chose Sagittarius because I'm a Sagittarius sun sign, and then I chose Scorpio because I just like, a lot of Scorpios love astrology and occult, so they'll be able to see this and understand. But you will want to look at your sun sign, okay? You don't want to use those generic charts to find your rising sign. You want to look at something like this. So this is the science of understanding how to find interceptions in charts. Now let's move on to a very clear example. So this chart I'm going to use for an imaginary person that may have a Cancer ascendant. So this is actually a real houses, as you can see on the side, on the left hand side of the screen. This is the placidus house system, right? So remember, placidus house systems are the ones that utilize interceptions. But guess what? Some people do not even have interceptions, even if they do have utilize the placidus house system. First house, Cancer. Second house is Leo. Can you see on the screen? Third house is Virgo. Fourth house is Libra. 5th house is Scorpio. 6th house is Sagittarius. 7th house is Capricorn. 8th house is Aquarius. 9th house is Pisces. 10th house is Aries. 11th house is Taurus. And the 12th house is Gemini. Now, doesn't that accurately show on the wheel on the right-hand side? The left-hand side shows all the houses in its order. If you are a Cancer rising, if you're a Cancer ascendant. Now, this is when there is no interception. Even if you use the placidus house system, some people do not have interceptions. Now, let's move along to a person that does have an interception. Now, first and foremost, this here is the Capricorn rising on the right side. If you see the Capricorn ascendant wheel, the first house is Capricorn, second house is Aquarius, third house is Pisces, fourth house is Aries, so on and so forth. But when you look at this person's chart, there's a placidus chart here. But when you take a really good look, you realize the first house is a Capricorn, right? We know that. The second house is Aquarius on the left-hand side chart. But the third house is Aries. Now, on the right side wheel, the third house shows that it's supposed to be Pisces. But it's not. Instead, it is Aries. So what is happening to Pisces? Where is Pisces in this person's chart? Now, I'm going to let you know first and foremost that Pisces didn't just disappear. What happens is it's pushed into the second house. Now, this is what an interception is. It's a house that has 2 signs. So it would be more accurate if the person seen first house Capricorn, second house Aquarius, and Pisces. Third house Aries. It shifts the chart and changes the size of the chart. So now let's move on. As you can see, this is a chart that shows the first house is in Capricorn, the second house is Aquarius and Pisces. Okay? The third house was supposed to be Pisces, but instead it's Aries. So it pushed everything back. Moving along to the 7th house in Gemini. The 8th house is in Cancer and Virgo. Virgo was supposed to be in the 9th house, but no, instead Libra is there. So it pushes the house backwards. So that means that there's a double house in the 8th house. Double sign in the 8th house. So what does this mean? First and foremost, you got to understand that interceptions work in pairs. If it's your first house engulfed 2 planets, the 7th house is 2. If it's your second house engulfed with 2 planets, the 8th house is 2. If the third house is engulfed with 2 planets, the 9th house is 2. If the 4th house is engulfed with 2 planets, the 10th house is 2. Okay? If the 5th house is engulfed with 2 planets, so is the 11th house. And if the 6th house is engulfed with 2 planets, so is the 12th. And this means when I say engulfed, I mean intercepted. This house has 2 basic signs in there. It has 2 signs in there. Think of an interception is when you just are kind of out of bounds. You're interfering. You're jumping into something where the signs, this makes a double house. This makes these houses have 2 signs. And this is very important to understand when we're learning about interceptions in your chart. So first and foremost, for people that have a first house, 7th house interception, it's very important to know that this deals with your personal self, your personal goals, and your personality, and all of these things about yourself, right? Your persona and who you are, who you think you are, who you believe yourself to be, who you have learned yourself to be throughout life. And then the 7th house, which is dealing with relationships with others. Okay, now this is not just you and your personal self, but it's the others. It's who you become through other people and interacting with other people and enemies, right? What you can and cannot take. Now, the thing about interceptions is it brings challenges. It makes you kind of have to you're unaware of your personality and how to have relationships with others. These people that have first house, 7th house interceptions, it may find it very, very hard to really define their personality, their persona, and their identity. When it comes to their seventh house, they may have a lot of relationships, jump around relationship, really trying to understand this thing called one-on-one interactions, even mentors, even teachers, even work partners. So it's just not like personal, intimate relationships, but ultimately there is a needing to unlock that second sign in there, because there's an aspect of yourself that's there that is a shadow. Okay, meaning you're unaware. It brings forth challenges. Interceptions bring forth challenges. So whatever house it's in is going to bring forth a challenge for you. Now, when you move along to the second house and eighth house, this deals with what you value, the things you value, what you have, and what others have, and what other people value, right? Or, excuse me, other people's valuables, right? It's not just what they have, but what they may help you with or what they may give to you. The relationships with others on a contractual level, relationship with others on a financial level, debt, debt, right? Loans, things of that nature. Um, so when it's an interception here, these are people who have to learn how to unlock their hidden potential when it comes to accessing money, wealth. These people may find it very hard to access money and gain money on their own, and they may find it even challenging for help from others. These people have to learn how to balance out the second and eighth house, because there is a shadow aspect of themselves or a hidden aspect of themselves that find it difficult to gain material wealth, to keep jobs, right? And to get help from others and support from others financially, and gaining power within yourself, because eighth house deals with power of self on a soul level, like your deep rooted self, inner wise, right? Your eighth house deals with life and death and rebirth and transformations. So there may be like a learning process for you when it comes to understanding life in its totality, transforming in your life, becoming whole and complete, and really truly understanding who you are and how you interact with your partner on a very mundane level, how you guys share bills and things of that nature. These may be a foggy haze for you, not being able to truly unlock these aspects of yourself. It does deals with sexuality. So being able to unlock your sexuality may be hazy or challenging, because your personal house of goals and your personal house of relating to others, connecting to others on a sexual level, on a transactional level, meaning finances and things, it's a fuzzy haze in this area. This is where you're here to unlock. And once you do, you can gain an abundance of wealth. So the way you unlock it is by unlocking the potential of that hidden house. Whatever sign is not there or showing itself, that sign will truly have to be unlocked. So it will be the modality of that sign. Is it fire, fixed, mutable? Is it fixed, mutable, cardinal? What element is it? Water, air, earth, fire. You want to understand the characteristic of that sign so you can unlock it. And the characteristics of that sign will bring forth the potential growth for you in the second and eighth house, where it's blocked. And also the third and ninth house. Let's say if you have an interception here, this means that in elementary school, middle school, high school, and even college and things of that nature, there may have been an undecisiveness, an unawareness of who you are in school, who or how to communicate with others effectively to get your needs met. How who you want to be when you grow up. How do you grow up in the world where you learn about to become your goals? You may have a lot of unlocked potential when it comes to learning, teaching, being a student of not just in school but in life. It's a very unawareness that these third house, ninth house people have. They may be smart. It doesn't mean that you're not smart. It just means that you're unaware of where you should be moving towards, because third house deals with travel on a very personal, like where you go to school, what you want to do, like where you go, where you hang out, all that. Ninth house deals with long distance travels and what the big decisions that you make to really further your education or to figure out where it is that what you want to do in life. So third house, ninth house intercepted people, they find it very challenging when it comes to learning about themselves on a deeper level and learning about where they really should be doing in life, what they really should be learning and focusing their attention and what they're focusing their intellectual abilities on, their communication on. Because remember, third house also deals with your communication as well. So when it's an interception in the third and ninth house, it means it's something one must need to unlock to really communicate better, become a more effective communicator, or even to become a more influential student in life and teacher of life, and learning where one should place their focus and attention in to advance in their career, because ninth house comes before the 10th house. So what you learn and put your attention and focus in all of those things to will eventually be your legacy. What you focus on will grow your attention, right? Your attention ultimately is your ninth house, the Sagittarius Gemini duality there, right? Opposition there. It's like you're learning on a cognitive level, communicative level, and even on a spiritual level where you feel like you need to be. So it may be hard knowing where to move. Like, where do I want to live? Like, I don't feel connected to this place. Or what school do I want to go to? What do I really want to do in my life? These are the questions that a third house, ninth house intercepted person will be asking themselves. Okay. And yeah, so, and it gets even deeper with aspects, but I'm not going to get into that. So then let's move into the fourth, 10th house. If you have a fourth, 10th house interception, these people find it very, very hard to establish themselves in the home and in their career, right? Finding their true identity in the home. They may be very disconnected to the home environment, and it may affect them on a long-term level. So childhood and early childhood could have been a haze, and adulthood, midlife crisis here, right? Okay, so where a person feels very jaded from their early childhood experiences and being very disconnected to the mom, or being very disconnected to your roots. I wanted to understand who you are on an identity level, fourth house energy, and who you are becoming, the Saturn return energy, because 10th house deals with Saturn return energy. It deals with your success and longevity in anything that you do. And so there's a blockage here. There's a needed to be unlocked, a hidden potential. You have two signs in these areas of life that are so crucial to your awareness of self, identity, self, and self-esteem. So I know the second house deals more with the self-esteem on a material level and what you feel like your worth, your values, and things of that nature. But fourth house deals with your emotional self-esteem. It deals with how you were taught to love yourself and respond and react to things. It's that moon energy, receptive energy, responsive energy. So it's a blockage here on your emotional self, right? And your connection to who you are, right? And who you want to become. Who you are is the home and what you've been taught, fourth house energy, and the 10th house is where you want to be and how you want to view yourself and how you want others to view you and your legacy and your status. So there is once this person older in age is when they'll be able to really discover the hidden secrets of their family, things that they just clearly didn't understand, things that just were not clear to them, okay, about their family members that they were raised with, very close to, like older siblings, younger siblings, things of that nature, like moms, all that, right? And these people, you may have these people, fourth house, 10th house intercepted people. They really, when they get older, all the answers are revealed to them. As they age, they cannot have control over the outcome, and this really bothers them because they don't know how they are seeming to the world or how their status is to the world or what legacy they're leaving behind. It's hard to gain clarity on self in that, right? But when they unlock that hidden potential, which is the sign that is engulfed and intercepted in there in those areas, that's when they'll be able to unlock, like I said, the secrets to their family tradition, roots, home, their ancestry. You know, this could be very spiritual, but also they'll be able to unlock where their career should really be in, and where they really should focus their attention, and where they really want to begin to working on that aspect of themselves to become known for that and to embody and golf it so that their status is remembered for it. Okay, now let's say you have a 5th house 11th house energy. This means that there's a disillusion, disconnection to the creative outlets that you may have, your hidden talents, your gifts, your ability to be yourself and the individual within the group of your creative efforts, right? So these people may be sitting on some amazing talents and gifts, but it's hard for them to access it. It's hard for them to be romantic. It's hard for them to, these people they may not really get into romantic, rendezvous until they get older. 5th house deals with your creative expression and deals with who you are on that level where you shine bright. And it also deals with the romantic lifestyle, anything you create, children and all of that. Interceptions in the 5th and 10th house, 5th and 11th house may affect you having children or birthing your creation to the world. And also that 11th house energy may really keep you disconnected from being associated to any groups or getting money from these, from outside influences, okay? And or having this connection to something larger than yourself. There may be a very disconnected aspect of you that is yearning to fit into something that is bigger than yourself, or yearning to be a part of a group, association, or something that you can call your own. And also 11th house energy deals with technology and things of that nature. So these people could be late bloomers to understanding technological, things, how to do things online. And, ultimately it goes from the macro level of groups, association, and being connected, feeling disconnected. Okay. To a micro level, not even knowing how to really use your technology or, edit and all these type of things in the world that we're moving into right now, especially now. But the 5th house, 11th house energy, when there's an interception in these areas of life, there must be a revelation on your hidden talents and your hidden gifts and your abilities that you can bring forth to the world that will help you connect to these groups of people that are waiting for you. What you seeking is seeking you, but you have to unlock the energy and the potential of that 5th house, your creative energy. You'll attract the right romantic partners. Then you'll have fun. You'll enjoy life. You'll kick your feet up. You'll be able to be really associated with people that are like-minded when you access this hidden energy. The hidden energy is that those signs, the signs that are intercepted in your 5th and 11th house, the ones you cannot see on your chart. And then moving along to the 6th and the 12th house. Now, people that have an interception here there's a very strong disconnection from the work service that you do for others and the identity that you have for yourself. Okay. These people could be very discombobulated, not knowing where they need to be directing their energy in life, not knowing where they need to be working, not knowing what they need to be doing for the world. These people, this is a very jaded aspect, I feel, that can be unlocking great potential when you understand those planets not planets, the signs that are in the 6th and 12th house that are hidden, that are intercepted, okay? The ones that are not showing up on your chart. Those signs and the modality, okay? The energy signature, meaning the element of it. Is it emotional? Is it mental? Is it physical? Is it stable? Is it stability? Is it passion? Is it fire? You want to know what are these signs, because it will give you and unlock information on where you should be focusing your attention and putting effort in your daily routines. 6th house energy deals with routines and things of that nature. You may need to get a domesticated little pet, or you may be drawn to these, abundant big blue sea creatures, whales or lions. 6th house, 12th house deals with 6th house deals with domesticated animals. 12th house deals with undomesticated animals, things that are too big for your home, or, not safe to have at home. It's something in the area of spirituality, or something in the area of your innermost personal needs to being met. These people find it very challenging. They find it very hard to find their way in life. So, of course, Saturn's return will help a person, because, Saturn comes around and teaches you where you are not focusing your attention. It shows you, okay, it gives you blessings, or it brings forth lessons, to show you that you can be on a better path, or you can be on the route that's here for you. But the hard thing about 6th house, 12th house interception is these people don't even know left from right. They don't understand their subconscious mind. They don't understand their spirituality. They're seeking to understand the deeper meaning to life, the magical mysteries of life, because 12th house energy is all of that. They're trying to understand work and service to the world, and routines, and how do they fit all into this? How do they fit into this? So once they unlock that hidden gift, which are those signs, there will be a dual energy, and you will be able to really advance in your daily routines. Will have more understanding and clarity. You'll know what you're here to do. You'll know what you're here to work. You know what service you're here to bring forth to the world. And then you'll also be able to tap into your subconscious mind, your ability to go within and truly find meaning to your life, and meaning to life in general, and access the shadow aspects of yourself, to heal them, to help yourself grow into a very clarified person, very spiritual, deep, empathic person. Okay, that's the interception in between the 6th and 12th house. So I hope this information is very helpful to anybody that is learning about interceptions. I want you to know that this information may apply to some and may not, but I feel like people should get a clear picture, a clear understanding and definition about interceptions. So let me know what you think about this video in the comments below. Let me know about your interceptions. Do you have any interceptions in your house? Did this information bring forth clarity to you? Do you want to book a session with me, and I can look at your chart? Let me know what you think below. Take care. All right.